everyone. Welcome to the 5-Beer Plan. I'm Brian, and this is the ongoing saga of an everyman's ale trail. In this episode, I wrap up the homebrew project, get some wisdom from my expert at Buckeye Brewcraft, run out the clock with Evan and Dave from Roar Brewing, and review a Belgian-inspired IPA. But before we get this party started, here is this episode's burning question. What is your favorite Belgian IPA? My favorite, according to Untapped, is Triumph from Brewery Vivant, located in Grand Rapids, Michigan. This 6.5% ABV Belgian IPA poured a beautiful peach color. It was lightly spiced with a fruity aroma. For an IPA, it was super smooth and balanced. In this segment of Homebrew Hijinks, I bring things full circle with the St. Joe Stout. During the conditioning phase, I filled out my paperwork and submitted it to the local fair to ensure it would get entered by the deadline, which was about 3 weeks before the event. It did take a bit of time, since it was my first time filling out the one-page BJCP form, and I wanted to be as accurate as possible. It included my personal information, the fermentables, hop schedule, and yeast used in the recipe. It was also necessary to enter the gravity values, amount of fermentation time, as well as the brewing and bottling date. I also came up with a label for the entry, as there was both a tasting portion and a label portion of the competition. I kept it simple. I found a picture of the St. Joe River, used some filtering in my photo editing software to give it an old-fashioned look, and added pertinent information such as the original gravity, final gravity, ABV, and, of course, my logo. The day before the fair, I took 3 bottles for delivery, 1 with a label and 2 without a label. The former would be used for the label judging, and the latter would be used for the actual tasting. The judging would happen the first evening and results revealed Sunday. I entered the Ag Building Sunday at the fair with a mixture of anxiety and anticipation. I knew I had done everything I could for this entry. I made a beeline for the glass case where the beers, meads, and wines would be displayed. I scanned from top to bottom and found my bottle, which was adorned with a first-place medal. My beer label did not win, but that's okay. Taste is king. I also entered a second beer, the North Avenue Double, a 7.1% double IPA. This beer also won a first-place medal and was only a few points from being best in show. Needless to say, this gave me a confidence boost that what I was doing was relevant. All's fair in love and brewing. Next episode, I reveal the next project. Homebrewing can be overwhelming, especially if you are just starting out. Every month, I set aside a few minutes to talk to my go-to expert, David Young, owner of Buckeye Brewcraft in Columbus, Ohio, and ask him some common questions that homebrewers have. So, David, we talked previously about beer judging and score sheets. And as you mentioned, I had sent some bottles to you and Sarah there at the store to give some feedback because I want to improve. I want to get a little bit better. I think the beer that I'm brewing is okay, but it's always nice to have someone else's opinion. I want to talk a little bit about pain points from that perspective. When I received the feedback, something that I saw consistently, I've even gotten that feedback from friends, is that maybe I have a little bit more of a yeasty flavor in the beer. What I want to know is maybe how should the homebrewer approach the yeast pitch in that sense? Of course, you know that I'm brewing on a 1-gallon scale instead of the typical 5-gallon scale.
That taste that exists in your beers, it's tricky because there are some beers where that fits. You look at, some of the more farmhousey stuff or general styles that follow that direction, it would be expected that you have some of that there. The biggest underlying quote unquote issue, I think, is the fact that you're a 1-gallon beer brewer living in mostly a 5-gallon world. And so when you buy a pack of yeast, that pack of yeast is designed to inoculate 5 gallons of wort. So what you described in the feedback that you received both from myself, Sarah here at the shop, and others, is really often what we consider the homebrew taste. Yeast is a very, very interesting thing. And you kind of have the double-ized, I'm going to trademark that word, problem of being a 1 gallon beer brewer and mostly a 5 gallon universe. Things like the packs of yeast that you're using to inoculate your beer is really designed to pitch into 5 gallons. You and I have talked about measuring that amount out and getting pretty granular. At the end of the day, I think it's just tough on the 1 gallon scale. I've said this before, both to other people about you, to you, and now to your podcast listeners. We got to get you brewing a 5 gallon batch of beer. I know that it's not necessarily convenient for your processes and your needs for consumption, but I really do. I wonder how your recipe scaled up to 5 gallon would be different. If nothing else, we should make a brew day out of it to see what happens just coming in using my equipment and so on. Anyway, back to the point at hand. So I think that being really specific in your measurements are a big thing. Most homebrew shops, online resources, wherever you may be purchasing goods, you should be getting pretty good ingredients so that the quality of ingredient is not the issue at hand.
I'm getting good ingredients for sure.
Yeah, and you know a guy. The ingredients very likely are not the issue. Process is a bigger part of it. And even though I literally just said ingredients aren't the issue, overpitching, underpitching yeasts can create issues. So there are styles where that's welcome and accepted. Here at the shop today, we have been absolutely slinging out Fest beer, Marzen, Oktoberfest style beers. But kind of second to that is Hefeweizen. It's our kid of the month this month. And Hefeweizen is a perfect example of how to affect a beer with underpitching, overpitching, and temperature. Okay, so the flavor that you're describing with the yeastiness is really common, and it's really commonly referred to as the homebrew taste, in air quotes. It is something that can be really difficult to get around, and you have the the added deficit of being a 1 gallon brewer in a 5 gallon world. Now you do weigh out, or at least dose out your yeast as much as possible, but for other people,
I do now.
Yeah,
I do now.
you do now.
I didn't before. So one of the first times I brewed, it wasn't going fast enough, and so I reached out to a professional who was like, "Yeah, just throw the whole packet and it'll be fine." I'm like, "Okay." So I just been doing that since the beginning. So then after getting the responses back from you and Sarah, I was like, "Okay, well, something maybe needs to change here."
And it can be dependent upon the strain of yeast as well. All things equal, time, temperature, pressure, all those things equal. If you use, the Frank's Red Hot sauce of yeast, Fermentus Safel US05, that is a clean fermenting yeast that really doesn't have a lot of ester expression. So pitching an inoculated 23 grams, I think it is, in a package of that versus, scaling it down. The 1 gallon system, you're, again, here in air quotes, less likely to have yeast off production that you would from something like a British yeast or whatever's out there, Belgian yeast, that would be really ester heavy. Circling everything we always talk about, there is no silver bullet to this. Everything has a cause and effect in this world. So making sure that you are not underpitching or overpitching, unless that's something that you are looking to get out of it, can be really helpful.
If you have a question that you'd like answered, reach out to me at 5beerplan@frontier.com and put Ask the Expert in the subject line. Also, if you are ever in need of homebrew supplies with great customer service, expert answers, and high-quality supplies, please check out Buckeye Brewcraft. You can find them on the web at buckeyebrewcraft.com and tell them that you heard about them on the podcast. Now, it's time for Barstool Banter. In this episode, it's time to clear the benches in another star-studded segment with Evan and Dave from Roar Brewing in Detroit, Michigan. To wrap things up, we deep dive into their core beers, open the doors on the tap room, and learn more about the beer styles they love. These guys are about as passionate as they come. Trust me, they will treat you like you're one of the team already. So if you find yourself in Midtown Detroit, drop in and enjoy a Roar beer and roar from Pride Rock. You will not be disappointed. Roar is better known, so thank you for your service. I should have led off with that. But as far as I know, it's the first Black-owned brewery in the city limits. Did you even realize that when you went off on this adventure?
Not initially. So initially, when I started looking at opening up the brewery, I just wanted to make a really cool brewery and have like a really cool space. And then when I was starting to do research, just in general, it came up that there was another brewer that was going to move in to the city, but they didn't end up doing that a couple of years prior. And they were going to be the first. I was like, wait, well, if they were going to be, and no one else has moved in, and that makes kind of us, I mean, maybe we're going to be the first. So we actually contacted Wayne State, where they have historians, and they were able to do a bunch of research and found, and we also talked to the National Black Brewers Association, and they said the same thing. They did research, and there were no other Black breweries in the city. And Detroit has a really long history, and we didn't want to come out and say that because Detroit's been around for a very long time. So could have been somebody like, we didn't want to say that, and then someone was like, my grandfather in 1875 had a brewery on this street, and how dare you not recognize Detroit as you just came into the city making these claims. But no, it was just it kind of came to be. So it was something that was exciting. It wasn't something that we really wanted to hyper focus on. I mean, it is something that I'm proud of, and I know as things continue to progress, there's going to be more. And if we're the first, we don't want to be the last. We want to make sure that there's other spaces and places for other groups to come in and start breweries and have information and help. But it is still something that, humbled by the opportunity and the support that kind of comes with it, and really just the earned media that comes with it, which is awesome too. Just for any kind of brewery opening up, it's good to be able to have some earned media versus to get things going. So
You're looking historically at the diversity of the craft industry. There is a lot more diversity now than there was, let's say, 5 years ago when I began kind of this podcast journey. And I think that it's really important to have that sort of diversity because we all bring things from our background, from our cultures, from our food, from where we've lived, and all these things kind of make up whatever we end up doing creatively,
right.
So I love the idea that you're bringing yet another new facet to Detroit, and you're going to put your own spin on the craft scene, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think that is one of the things that I really appreciate, about United States. And when you bring in different cultures, different things. Like we chose Detroit because there was a lot of different cultures here. Because growing up in Southern California, I mean, the food scene's better when you have a whole bunch of different cultures.
Exactly.
What you can do on a random Tuesday night. Like there's so many cool traditions and other things where it really kind of all melts together and just makes an amazing place. And you are going to see things at our brewery that you're not going to necessarily see at others. We're going to have hustle classes and things here, which is going to be fun. But like it is part of kind of being able to introduce people to a different kind of comes full circle. We've had a lot of first time, even at our soft opening, we've had first time beer drinkers come in and, black, white, everything coming in. And like, I have never had a beer, but I want to come and support. And then they're like, oh my goodness, I've never had a beer like this before. Like I'm going to tell all my friends or tell my family and introducing people to a whole new industry just because, they might feel a little bit more comfortable coming to a place that they might not have necessarily felt like they are. It's like a permission structure. Even though obviously every brewery is going to be open doors, but people might not necessarily feel that way. So then they are able to see, and then we're able to say, no, go check out a really nice brewery that we are close with is Bash. Like go check out Bash, go check out some of these other breweries because we make one type of beer, but there's other styles, there's other things that are offered, and it's a really cool scene. So I think it's just bringing more people in, which makes a better environment for everybody.
And it's got to be gratifying too to bring somebody in that doesn't drink beer and go, hey, I really like this.
I think there is a perception, and it's probably true. I mean, not as many Black people drink beer, but I always say not yet because I didn't either, right? So like it's not yet because if you don't know, like before you have good wine or before you have good coffee, if you don't know something, and it's easier to stay within things that are familiar. And that might not necessarily be familiar, then you don't know. But once you have that opportunity to taste it, go on a tour, learn about it, and you find a style that you like, now, I think you become a beer drinker for life because that's how I kind of came into it. I was like, all right, like I really didn't understand when my military first like, let's go down. Like, you want to drive to go to a place that only serves beer? Like, what are you talking about? But then I went, I was like, oh, so there's a whole lot more going on here. We like that aha moment that we kind of see from our customers and people who are coming in and are kind of being introduced to the craft beer space.
Well, one other question I was thinking about, how do you see your brewery shaping the culture and community around the Metro Detroit craft beer industry like in 5 years?
At least how I'm kind of thinking of, one of the things that we are really trying to, like, we actually were talking to Wayne State, their athletics, their marketing department, and they're trying to build up a more robust culture around their athletic program. And one of that is kind of like super energizing their tailgates. And they talked about opportunity maybe of having a tailgate here, and us, making a beer for them, and which now we're in conversations and we've already brewed a beer for them. So like
Cool.
and that's going to be announced soon. So we're excited for that as well. But with that is like, how can we really create this like super fun environment that is like a sports craft brewery? And I think that's something that we're really trying to hit that scene. Even when it comes to like talking to my team, like we're going to have tailgates for them. We want to have tailgates for the Lions, for the Tigers, where or if you have season passes, that you get a slight discount for home games, so you can come and like really build up this community of just coming to a craft. You get to try new, amazing, innovative beers made by our massive brewer over here, but you're still also able to just have this place where you can come and watch a game and sit back and relax. And it's the closest thing to being at home or at the game. We really want to kind of create that culture. And as we do want to also go into, other stores, other restaurants, we want to kind of build that energy and ship it off so that you can enjoy it at your own home. If you can't happen to make it into the brewery, you can still have a roar on the couch and you can still roar with us from a distance. So we're really trying to kind of bring that to the city. So.
Yeah. Now, Dave, what are your core beers that you're going to have once you get established? What was the name again?
Our franchise 5.
Franchise 5, okay.
Yes, and it starts with the Honey Oak Stout. So
that's our MVP.
Yeah, that's the MVP.
I love that
it's
beer.
Not a seasonal beer. It's crafted to hit a lot of different notes. It's a hybrid stout. It's very balanced. It's not super roasty. It's not super coffee forward. It's not sweet, but it's got elements of oats. It's got honey in it, and it's just a really nice drinkable beer. It's keeping the stout drinkers happy. Some beer geeks that I know have already come in and tried this honey oat stout. And by name, it's a head turner, and by drink, it's a pleaser.
Use better than honey in that. Heroes of Hives.
So
nice. Yeah, Heroes of Hives is a really cool organization, and we wanted to incorporate that into the honey oat stout.
Are they in Michigan?
Yeah,
okay.
One of the head trainers is here in Michigan, and we all went out to visit his home and his facility there, and he makes quite a bit of honey. So we're like, oh, can you meet our capacity? He's like, let me show you. And I'm like, all right, cool.
Nice.
There's a lot going on with this honey oat stout, and from our standpoint as a business and growing our brand and who we are, it's education for folks, because a lot of people are afraid of, especially new people getting into beers. They're afraid of dark beers, and our goal is to knock that out. And we've done that with a few people already, which is nice. But moving forward with our franchise 5, we really looked at trying to hit a lot of good bases. If we're going to have these beers on tap all the time, there's some things you got to hit on. And we're doing a Pilsner. And a Pilsner is military themed ammo Pilsner. I'm a pretty purist type of brewer. So I think a Pilsner, quality, drinkability. So like my Pilsner, mine goes, high 4% to mid 5s, but with a name like Ammo Pilsner or a nickname like Ammo Pils, it's got to have a little punch to it. So we pushed the boundaries of the Pilsner style a little bit, but we're still making it a drinkable beer. So kind of taming the bitter aspect of it, but still being a true Pilsner beer is our goal. Seems to be doing pretty well right now. Another beer is our raspberry wheat. It happened to be the first beer I ever brewed as a home brewer.
Oh, cool.
And I've brewed many raspberry beers over the course of my career, but it takes me back, which is nice. And good familiarity with American style wheat beers. And I also have an affinity for German style beers. So I've tried to kind of blend those two, the American style wheats with the German style. So it's got the sweet tartness and that draw for folks that want something a little fruity. And it's also got the quality of the malt presence and such. So we also are doing an IPA. It's brewed with Michigan, European, and American malts. It's a 2-hop beer, and that's Amarillo and Cascade. So it's on the West Coast kind of thought process, but not quite. The caramel malt presence in that is kind of light, but it's present, so it gives it a nice color and also a little bit of sweet character. Just help with the hoppiness of the beer. We're doing an amber lager. That beer is a hybrid American style lager. Also has some German flair to it, and it's a beer that kind of got me into the craft industry outside of Bell's, but learning about beers from around the country. So California Amber Lager out there, that's a hybrid out in San Francisco that is always, I've had an affinity for. So it's a California common kind of style Amber Lager, but it's got its own identity here with a little different hopping rates, and also the malt bill has got its own identity.
So, and we call them our franchise 5 because those are the 5 that we want to keep on tap at all times. And then we're going to do 2 to 3 seasonals where there's a good amount of variation. Yeah, we got some cool beers that we're going to come up with too, but we wanted to keep the 5 being as this kind of might be like the introduction to craft beer space. And one of the things that was hard for me as a new craft beer drinker is I would fall in love with a beer when I would go to a brewery for the first time, and then it'd be gone. And I'm like, wait. So then I would be driving down from Wyoming to Colorado with like 5 growlers to try to get as much of it as possible, but then it never came back. And I was like, I don't like this. So we wanted to have some consistency there, but still have some really good seasonals. And then I was even talking with my friends, like maybe if there's something that's really good, you can get, come off the bench and maybe have another one, come off the bench and have the franchise 6 or the off the bench option or something else, like to kind of have other things.
Yeah, we're definitely different in that approach, but
Yeah.
I understand the whole philosophy. I've been in the biz long enough, and I have upset or disappointed some of our customers in the past that their favorite beer they've ever had in their life, that seasonal beer, that it's gone.
It's gone forever. And people
It
get
may be gone forever. It might come back next year, but that is very disappointing to certain beer drinkers.
As a consumer, is one of it's the most heartbreaking, and like it literally throws you off. And you go there fully expecting, and then it's gone. So we wanted to at least provide some consistency. And something also that we are doing with our beers is we're not doing any kind of really crazy names. They'll have nicknames, but it's a Roar IPA. It's a Roar Honey Oak Stout.
Yeah. The thing I also like about your franchise 5 is they are 5 different styles that are going to give you 5 different flavors. And so you're going to hit somebody with a flavor that they've never had before, right? Making it approachable. I think that's a fantastic idea. How many taps then in total do you have?
12
total.
Two draft tanks that hold 2 of our franchise 5. And then we're using 5 taps for our other beers. Well, 3 of our franchise 5, and then our 2 specialties, and then 5 guest taps. We have craft cocktails, seltzer,
cider, that kind of stuff. Yeah.
So when I visited, tap room's kind of like a galley shape, right? So you've got your bar there, and then you've got some tables kind of set next to the windows. You had a really cool outdoor space. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, so the outdoor space is one of the things that got me super excited about opening Roar here, just because we have so much. There's like a really cool plaza right outside of it that have modular, like they have like these rolling seats, so they're really modular in nature. But in order to play cornhole or to play yard pong or any of the fun games that we want to bring, you have that. We have space to dance, so you have space to do all this other really cool stuff. So we do plan on adding a 3 seasons room outside, 800 square foot, to allow for that Michigan winter. So you still have a place to be able to come, and we'll put TVs up in the 4 corners and really kind of do that up right.
How many can you actually seat in the tap room?
In the actual tap room, our capacity is at 37. So we have 37, and that doesn't include where we do the tours or where the brew equipment is, just the actual. We have 37 inside, and then we have an area right directly outside that is also official seating for all of our patrons. But just in our kind of direct area, we can accommodate, 50 to 75 people.
So Dave, what is your favorite style of beer?
No, probably my favorite style of beer is IPA. It's not a beer I drink all the time. There's so many different styles of IPA, all of the different varieties of hops, and be it spicy, be it earthy, be it floral, be it fruity. So, IPAs, there's still that draw for me.
Okay.
But I do have an affinity for lagers, be it Pilsner, be it a lighter drinking lager, or some of the dark German lagers. My apprenticeship was at a German themed brewery in Colorado. I studied under Eric Warner. He's very famous for his Weiss beers.
All right. Evan, how about you?
Stout. I love stout.
Stout.
That's why, that's the first thing I told him. I was like, our flagship's gonna be a stout. He's like, what are you talking about? A stout? And I was like, I love stout. I feel like stouts are amazing. I mean, as kind of going through my beer journey and starting with more of a natty light PBR kind of beer pong beer, and then going from that to the different craft beers. I love stouts. So stouts, saisons, and sours.
So one last fun question that I always ask. So I'll start with you, Evan. If you were a beer, what style would you be and why?
I mean, I'd be a honey oat stout, right? No. Yes, I think so. Yeah, it would probably be the stout. I mean, I am black and stouts are black, right? And I do think that I'm warm, I'm approachable. The reason why we want to make honey oat is because when I think of just the honey oatmeal cookies my grandmother used to make, and it was like a warm, it had that childhood nostalgia, bring it home. That's kind of what we wanted to encompass. So I feel like a part of me is in this beer, bringing that warm, come home, back to childhood kind of feel.
And see, that's where we were talking about before, bringing your background into the beer. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
All right, Dave, how about you?
Well, I have to first preface this by you came up with another question. It's a backstory that I got to tell. I had to answer this question in an interview for a brewery, one of Evan's favorites in Fort Collins, Colorado, New Belgium.
Yeah.
Oh.
I was applying for a cellarman position there 17 years ago. I got interviewed by the cellar staff, and one of the guys' questions was, if you were a beer, what would you be? I kind of think they wanted me to say Sunshine Wheat or Fat Tire, but I was honest and I told them if I was a beer, I would be Anchor Steam. And that was because that was the beer that did it to me. That was my craft beer. That was the beer that I became passionate about the brewery and all of this. And that got me not hired. So I still stick with the Anchor Steam beer, and part of it is for the respect of Fritz Maytag and what he did for the craft industry and what he did to save that brewery in San Francisco back in the mid to late 60s, and just the ingenuity and interesting aspects of that beer in itself, the drinkability and the hybrid aspect of it. That's what I would be.
Well, I like both of those answers, and I think that's a great way to end our segment. Dave, Evan, I really appreciate you being on the show. I look forward to coming out and enjoying another good Roar beer, hopefully before winter falls. So
let's hope so.
Yeah, come back. We're gonna have some more fun, and we got to get you roaring up on Pride Rock too. So.
Yes, when I can actually roar properly.
There you go. Right, without a cough.
Exactly. Well, thanks again, guys. Have a great weekend ahead.
Thanks, Brian. All right, see ya. Bye.
Last call.
It's nearly time to wrap things up, but first, one more for the road. This episode, I'm drinking Tiger Chainsaw Arms from Singing River Brewing Company in Florence, Alabama. We picked this up when we visited Hop City Beer and Wine in Birmingham, Alabama. From the brewer, why Tiger Chainsaw Arms? Why not Tiger Chainsaw Arms? Our Belgian Abbey Triple American IPA Hybrid is a pale golden-colored ale with the spicy flavor and aroma of an Abbey Triple melded with citrusy American hops. 2016 Alabama Craft Beer State Championship Brett and Belgio Style Beer Gold Medal winner. Without further delay, so this is a 12.2% ABV Belgian IPA. I poured this out into a snifter glass from Archival Brewing, one of my favorites, up in Grand Rapids, Michigan. It did pour that great golden color that the description noted. I can also see it's going to be a little bit maybe more viscous and thick than a typical IPA. I do notice a lot of suspension, and just the liquid itself just looks a little bit slow and sluggish. On the nose, I get that spiciness that's noted. It's got a little bit of citrus notes in there, maybe a little bit of malt as well. I can also tell that it is going to be boozy as well. So, first sip impression. Yeah, wow. This is every bit 12%. Whew, that burn's going down. As I mentioned, it has a little bit more of a viscous kind of mouthfeel. It's a maybe medium to the full body there. It's really, really smooth. Honestly, it almost reminds me like of a lighter barley wine. It's very interesting. It's got a nice malt flavor on the palate. It's got that Belgian vibe going on there. It's really nice. But boy, it is really boozy. I think the golden color might be throwing my mind off a little bit because I keep taking these large sips, and what I really need to be doing is taking a little bit smaller sips really to enjoy this. It's got a little bit of zing on the tongue, so it's got that spicy Belgian kind of flavor, which is really nice. And again, it's got that good malty backbone in there, and a pleasant hop bite at the end. The can is fun too, so it literally has a tiger coming out of the can toward you, and its arms are two chainsaws. Very fun, very playful. So, I don't know whether you'd be able to find this here in the Midwest. So, I give this one a high 3.5 tasters out of 5 on the flight board. Cheers, Singin' River Brewing. I am always looking for new craft beverages to review. So if you've got one from your favorite local craft brewery, meadery, or cidery you'd like me to drink and describe, reach out and let me know. That's all for this episode of the 5 Beer Plan. With so many podcasts out there, thanks for choosing to listen to mine. Join me next time as I sketch out the next homebrew project, visit another Detroit-based brewery, and review another beer. Remember to hit the subscribe button on your preferred podcast platform to be notified of new episodes. Follow me on Instagram as well, 5 Beer Plan 2022, to see what is happening on my personal ale trail. I'd love to hear from you, and there are several ways you may do so. Leave a comment for this episode on Spotify, direct message me on Instagram, or email me directly, 5beerplan@frontier.com. Be sure to support your local breweries, choose your beers wisely, and drink them responsibly. Until next time, keep walking your ale trail, and stay thirsty, my friend.